Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to Wednesday, May 15th, Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting of the Somerville Zoning Board of Appeals will be conducted via remote participation. A recording of these proceedings can be accessed at any time using the registration link at the top of the agenda. For the record, it's just 6:04. And joining us tonight for the board members is Ann Fullerton, who will be filling in as our clerk tonight. Cecilia Daglian, Zach Zaremba, and Brian Cook, and I am your chair, Susan Fontano. First thing on our agenda tonight under general business is the approval of minutes. Madam Clerk, would you please make a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2024 and April 17th, 2024.
Thank you. Before requesting a second, was there anybody that had any corrections or alterations to the minutes as presented? Seeing no hands, will go around the board for the vote. Cecilia Daglian,
Aye.
Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Brian Cook.
I second the motion and aye.
Thank you, sir. I knew you'd catch something like that on me tonight. Thank you. Ann Fullerton
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show that the April 3rd and April 17th, 2024 meetings were approved as presented. Thank you. Also, tonight, for people out there listening, we do have 5 members, and so we're ready to go. 2 of our regular people are out, so our Brian Cook and Cecilia Daglian, we welcome you tonight for all cases. Next on the agenda is the public hearings, 2 to 3 Union Square. And see if I get this right. It's ZP 00002031. Did I get that right, everybody? 000031. And the case is 2 to 3 Union Square. As I said, they're unable to make it tonight. They need some extra time, so they'd like a continuance till June 5th, 2024. Is there
Madam
a,
Chair,
yes?
I believe it's at 2 to 3 Union Square is actually case ZP 24-000009.
Okay. Yes, thank you. I was picking up 97 Orchard Street. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the correction. So without further ado, do we have a motion to accept the continuance to June 5th?
Madam Clerk, I would like to make a motion to accept the continuance.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Cecilia Daglian, second the motion. Zach Zaremba,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Cecilia Daglian,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show it was unanimous, all 5 members, and we'll see them on June 5th, 2024. The next case under the public hearings is a new case, 97 Orchard Street. Would the clerk please take care of this?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to open the case for 97 Orchard Street, case number ZP 24-000031.
Thank you. Is there who on this case is here tonight? Would you please?
Madam Chair, through you, this is Emily Hutchings for planning staff. Richard Roy is the applicant in this case. However, I am not seeing him amongst the attendees. Mr. Roy, if you're present and I'm just not seeing your name, could you please raise your hand and I could unmute you? Oh, I'm seeing a raised hand. One moment, Madam Chair. I'm going to unmute. The name is Tracy Maxwell.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, this
Okay,
is,
this is Richard Roy.
Okay.
oh,
Sorry, Mr. Roy, just to interrupt, I'm going to promote you to a panelist real quick so we can see your face. So it will just take a moment to switch over.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, my phone battery was dead. I had to use someone else's.
are you incognito tonight?
No,
My phone went dead today too as well, so I feel your pain.
it's
And
not showing. Can you see me or not?
we can't see you yet.
Let's see what I do here. Hold on. Start video, raise hand. This right there. I just saw it. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Oh no. No. It might as it keep going. Hold on 1 second.
Well,
I'm trying here. 1 second. Here it is.
yeah, no, that's okay. While Mr. Roy is
It's not
trying
allowing me
to
to.
on, I'd like to
What's
apologize
this?
to our
There it is. What you
staff
do there?
person,
There it is.
Emily
Panelist
Hutch,
participant Tracy Maxwell. Yep.
okay, is
Okay.
guiding us tonight, so I apologize, Emily, for not introducing you to everybody. Emily Hutchins on for staff tonight.
Okay. There it is. I got it. Oh, no. What? Oh, can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
can hear you. Yep, yep, there
Sorry
you are.
about that. I was having
That's
trouble
all
with this
right.
phone.
Yeah, it's hard. Everybody's a little different. So,
Good evening. Good evening tonight to everyone at the zoning board.
and would you tell us who you are and what you do and your address, and then tell us what you want to do?
My name is Richard Roy, contractor and friend of Tommy McCarthy, owner at 97 Orchard Street. My address is 41 Dane Ave, Somerville. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to relieve the hardship we've suffered for over the past 3 years, both financially, personally, and due to the unique size of the property. We ask that you grant this hardship variance for us today so we can complete the driveway we began over 2 years ago. We've done everything asked of us to date, and we have been approved on all subjects by all departments. The final survey showed that we have all the necessary space on the right side of the property where we would install the driveway. The one issue we have is that our combined side setbacks are slightly smaller than expected. So on the left side of the property, we have about 6 inches. We thought originally that there was 2 feet or so. The combined setbacks is the only problem here. We've already been measured for the trees, the distance to the next driveways, the distance off the property to the right. We have all the space needed for the driveway. So the relief that we need from you is to the developmental standards of the 12 feet of the combined side setbacks. We needed to be approved at the 10'6", 10'6" or 7, whatever it is. There's been no one has been against the driveway since the beginning. They're all friends in that neighborhood. Both the butters to the right side and to the left have written letters and they went on the other meeting the last time too and said they were for the driveway. Another longtime friend and neighbor across the street, Margaret Donovan, she's a lawyer. She also lets Tommy park in her driveway all the time because he hasn't had his own driveway for years. And when he goes to Ireland 4 times a year, he's subject to all the parking tickets, the snow removals, all the things, and he doesn't have a place for his car. Most of the houses around there all have their own driveway. All he wants is his own driveway. You know, we've done everything by the book. We've followed everything that we could up until this point, and this is our last chance to, you know, appeal to you, and so we can finish. We believed that we had been passed. We got all the approvals right in a row last May or June, and they were just waiting on the final survey. The surveyor got tied up with some family issues, and he got the survey to us about a week after the permit had expired, after we had done all that work. So it all had to be refiled again. We did all of that. We had the other hearings, refiled everything, and then it comes up again. They came back and said we need to submit the hardship variance now due to the lack of the 12 feet for the combined side setbacks that we need. But every other part of the driveway is fine. So it's on the left side where the driveway is not going to be, the Luther property. And he's all for it as well. I mean, he even, you know, he was going to offer to do an easement if he had to, for the few inches on the side that we need, you know. It had actually been and looked like it was Tommy's property for the last 20 years. There's a tree and hedges and whatnot, you know, for the couple feet to the left of the house. So originally, when we started the plan, we believed we had that much space there. We're begging for you to, you know, grant this variance. We've already spent close to $7,000 into this project already, between surveys, all the filing the permits 3 times. You know, it's become expensive, and we started to grade the ground last year. They had told us we were just waiting for the curb cut. We thought that we were approved for everything. We just needed to wait before we cut into the curb, and then the permit lapsed, and we had to start the whole process over again. The process took months and months. There was like no response for quite a while, you know, so it's dragged on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak at this time? I'm opening up the public portion of the 97.
Madam Chair, this is Emily Hutchings. I see a Brian Shimkin. Mr. Shimkin, I have unmuted you, and you should just need to unmute on your end.
Thank you. My name is Brian Shimkin. I live at 95 Orchard. Previously, the Historic Commission granted the approval for the driveway in the space between 95 and 97. And I think what tonight is about is a variance between 97 and 99, which would be the opposite. I have no objections. I'm in favor of that plan. It really affects the homeowner on 99 and not 95. We've already really bared the brunt because the driveway's between 95 and 97. So no objections to variance on the other side.
You're saying, Mr. Shimkin, that you live across the street then?
No,
at-
no,
at
no,
95?
no, same side.
Same side, odd number, right?
Yeah, all odd, right? So 97, which is the home in question, is in the middle, if you will. If you face it, to the right is 95 and to the left is 99.
Okay,
Okay.
He's
So-
95. He's the
Yeah,
right.
I'm 95, right. So the driveway currently is in the process of being built, incomplete, because he needs the variance. It's between 95 and 97. And tonight, if I'm correct, it's about a variance between 97 and 99.
Emily, do you understand what this gentleman's pointing out?
No, I mean, he's sorry, I wanted to interrupt.
Thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair, through you, Emily Hutchings. Mr. Shimkin, I apologize. I've muted you for the moment. So I believe that the driveway, the hardship variance for the sum of side setbacks, keeps the driveway in the same place as it was previously proposed between 95 and 97 Orchard Street. Mr. Roy, is that correct?
Yes, and he's the abutter to the right. So he's the one, the property that it affects the most. The driveway is against his property. The place where we need the inches is on the opposite side. So Brian is the abutter where the driveway is touching, the person that it affects the most.
No, we understand where the house is and how it's
Oh, okay,
set up.
okay.
You know, we've been out there to do site views and stuff like that, so.
Yeah. And I also have 3 letters from people. I tried to get them in, and they told me I had to get them in before the meeting began. But I talked to Steve Carey earlier, and Macchione,
So anyway, you have the 3
Again.
letters,
I have the 3 letters here.
right? You can read them into the record if you'd like. We could
I'd
not
like
accept
to.
them after last Thursday. That's the cutoff. But I want to
Okay.
finish, please, with Mr. Brian Shimkin. The point you brought out about historic commission is all well and good, but there's no, it does not pertain to this hardship variance. So I appreciate you bringing that forward. And have you were kind of cut off, Mr. Shipkin. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, I would just add that the point about the historic commission is the bigger ask in what we're doing here.
Okay, thank you. Number 5. Okay, why don't you read your letters for us right now, Mr. Roy?
Yes, sir. Okay, the first letter, it says, to whom it may concern at the Board of Appeals, my name is Elaine Moore. I live at 99 Orchard Street, a 2-family home in Somerville, Mass. The parking on the street is difficult because people do not live on Orchard Street, park their cars on Orchard Street. Also during the workday, it makes it more difficult for my brother and I to park in spaces closer to the house. I greatly recommend that you approve the hardship variance for Tommy and his wife, Mary, for their driveway at 97 Orchard Street, Somerville, Mass. If you have any questions, my telephone number is listed above, 617-628-6435.
Okay, and another one?
Yes, okay, so it's, my name is Paul V. Luther. I co-own and live at 99 Orchard, a 2-family home in Somerville, Mass. I have known Tommy McCarthy and his wife Mary for approximately 25 years, and they are good neighbors and good friends. Their property abuts our property, and it is sometimes difficult to find parking spaces on Orchard Street, especially for street cleaning, snow removal emergencies, and weather emergencies. We do not have a driveway ourselves, and this would be so helpful to have one less car on the street and one more car in a driveway, making it easier for me to find a parking space on Orchard Street, close to our house to park. I recommend that you approve the hardship variance for Tommy and Mary for the driveway at 97 Orchard Street, Somerville, Mass. My telephone number is
You don't have to say
617.
that. You don't have to say
Okay.
that.
Yeah, okay.
I don't
And
like
then,
privacy.
and Margaret Shea, she's directly across from the driveway.
Uh-huh.
My name is Attorney Margaret Shea. I own and live at 96 Orchard Street, Apartment 1, Somerville, Mass. I have known Tommy McCarthy and his wife, Mary Louise, for many years, and I consider them to be good friends and neighbors. I let them park their car in my driveway when they are traveling away or when the weather is away or when there is inclement weather. There would be no disturbance to other residents on Orchard Street if they had their own driveway. And most of the residents on Orchard Street have their own driveways already. I believe it is a hardship for them not to have a driveway and to be subject to tickets, potential property damage from other vehicles, and or vandalism to their vehicle. I highly recommend that you approve the variance for hardship and allow them to have their own driveway at 97 Orchard Street. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so now back to people in the audience. Anybody else after Mr. Shimkin? Emily?
Madam Chair, through you, this is Emily Hutchings. Anyone else in the audience who would like to speak, please raise your hand. Madam Chair, I'm not seeing any hands at this time. Would you like to close the public hearing?
I think I'll give them a couple of more minutes and we'll start chatting amongst ourselves and asking some questions to Mr. Roy. So in case somebody comes in from work or whatever, they'd like to sign in, they could. So let's put it to the board now. Who do we have some questions or some comments would like to make? Could you raise your hand if you do, please? Or if you want to make us more aware of something to enlighten us. Ann Fullerton, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Roy, approximately what percentage of the year do the McCarthys travel?
Probably a quarter or so.
Okay,
Quarter,
and
quarter of the year.
they're gone for more than a week, it sounds like. They're gone for
They
multiple
usually
weeks.
go for 2 weeks at a time when they do travel. They own several properties and also the bar and restaurant in Davis Square. They just recently bought Christopher's in Porter Square, and it's going to be McCarthy's bar and restaurant. So I mean, they've been Somerville residents for a long time. They own, I think, 8 houses in Somerville as well. I maintain most of their properties.
And
No,
it sounds like this is their primary residence, though.
This is their
although
primary
they
residence.
own
Yes,
Other residents.
they're both from Ireland originally, and they go back for family occasions and holidays.
Okay,
And
thank you.
they've been dealing with this for over 20 years, paying people to let them park in the other driveways, or if someone doesn't get there to move the car on street sweeping days, the tickets add up. It's become a burden financially as well.
All done, Ann? Anything else, Ann? No? Who else has a comment or a question? No comments? Cecia? Zach? So you're ready to vote? Brian Cook, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for the staff or Emily. Emily, how many curb cuts are there in this block on that side of the street? Do you know?
I do not know the number of curb cuts on that portion of the road.
The reason I ask, of course, is because, I'm sorry, what was that?
6.
And I don't know if that's an unusual number or low or high.
It's low considering. But
But
from
one
Oh,
of the
excuse me.
criteria, sorry,
Yeah, well, the Luthers next door do not have a driveway. The house next to it does, the one after it, that would be at Dover Street there. That one does not have one on Orchard. It has it around the other side. So there's quite a distance without a driveway. Then where we propose to put the driveway, then the next driveway would be almost 39 feet away. So 3 cars or so fit in there. And then there's averagely, I think there's 4 more houses until you get to Russell Street. So on that block, so, and all the driveways are basically on the right-hand side, so there's the space, the house is usually about a 28 to 35 foot width. So the front of the house is, I mean, there's that space without a curb cut in between each driveway. There's approximately 40 feet in between each driveway. And it would be following the natural order of things. I mean, it seems like it was always meant to have a driveway right there anyways. But, that's where everyone else is on the right. And the Luther property is much larger than Tommy's. Tommy's is a unique size property. But I mean, they have more than enough that they could, more enough land on that side, on the left side of 97 Orchard. They have about 26 feet from Tommy's house to his that would still allow another driveway later on if they ever wanted one. But they've never done it. He's on that house for 3 generations and they still haven't put a driveway in.
Okay,
Thank-
that's helpful, but let me just get back to finish my I guess my question for Emily still is, so Emily, in the staff memo, the response to criterion 3, which is the possible derogation of this provision in the zoning ordinance, what lies behind that is trying to reduce car pedestrian interactions. And we'd prefer not to privilege one form of mobility over another. But creating driveways, of course, allows cars to cross pedestrian walkways, which creates those kinds of interactions. But Emily, what's your thought about what seems to be fewer than might be the normal number of curb cuts on the street? Does this really create an additional, does it really threaten the underlying logic behind the control of some of the side setbacks to reduce the number of driveways?
Madam Chair, through you, thank you, Mr. Cook. First, I will note that I am not the case planner on this, so I did not
Oh,
write the
that's right.
staff
I'm
memo,
sorry.
although I have been briefed on it. But I'd like to point out a few different things. First, that criterion 3 is one of 3 criteria that need to be met for a hardship variance to be granted. All 3 criteria need to be met. And I think the intent, again, is to the intent of the zoning ordinance in this context is to place certain requirements for driveways that limit negative pedestrian vehicle interactions. And we do believe that in this case, it just doesn't meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance and would therefore derogate. It would create that additional interaction, whether it would push it over the edge of what is normal or average. We don't think that is what needs to be considered here. I think what should be considered is whether it simply increases that interaction in general and what the intent of the ordinance was when it created this requirement for the sum of side setbacks for a driveway.
Okay, Brian,
Yes.
anything else? Ian Fullerton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cook, I would argue that part of the third requirement for hardship variance is also in that the zoning allows for any single family home to have 1 parking spot. That's really all they're asking for. If they were asking for 3 parking spots, maybe we'd talk about that being a greater chance of pedestrian interaction or a bigger curb cut requirement, but or they're trying to make a parking lot, but it's a single family home with 1 parking spot request. So I guess in my purview, I don't feel like the one parking spot request is a negative impact. It seems like the biggest question mark from my perspective is the special circumstances under hardship consideration number one, which is the 18 inches, and whether or not the frontage of the land is unique enough to be considered a hardship qualifier.
Mhm. Thank you. Someone else want to weigh in?
I'm inclined to vote to approve the hardship variance. The setback is only off by 1.6 feet. The neighbors don't have a problem with it. I didn't have a chance to go to the neighborhood, but I did go on Google Maps and look around to see if other houses have driveways. Many of them do. I don't think it's having an extra driveway in that neighborhood is really going to impact pedestrians walking on the sidewalk. I'm just not really hearing a good argument as to why we shouldn't approve this. I think at least fits the criteria of hardship variance, and my vote at this point is going to be to approve.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would agree with Zach. I would also support the relief requested. I actually do drive by the street frequently, and it's not a heavily trafficked street by pedestrians. The lot does seem to be narrower than almost all the lots. I think, in fact, all the lots on that side of the street on that block. And I don't, I think the request is fairly modest in nature and it's a long-term resident of the city. So I would be in support of it.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment?
Madam Chair,
Ian?
for the record, I am also in support. I think that it's actually a hardship for their neighbors, specifically their neighbor that rents space to them. And it's a financial hardship to them that they have to pay to rent space to be able to live their lives.
Okay. And Brian? I know you spoke about the curb cuts and the pedestrian safety. With knowing that there's a one-car spot is mentioned on the property, and that they believe there's only 6 curb cuts on that side. How do you feel about that?
I don't know that I've heard what our answer is to criterion 2, which is the literal enforcement would create a financial or other type of hardship. And what is that for the petitioner or the appellant? That's what matters.
So through you, Chair Fontano, Member Cook, I think my answer is also referred to that, in that they have to pay for special parking to be able to live their lives because they're gone for a duration of time that does not allow them to take advantage of street parking during those absences. That's a financial hardship.
Anyone else want to weigh in and justify? We have to justify the 3 criteria. Now, the first criteria is, I want to pull it up. So I have it right in front of me. Bear with me 1 second. The first speaks to the soil, the topography. Where am I here? Let's see. Because that's the issue when we do these hardships. All right. The first one is special circumstances existing relating to the soil conditions, the shape or topography of the parcel of land, or the unusual character of an existing structure, but not affecting generally the NR district in which the land or structure is located. How do we answer that?
So what they explained to me before was that this
I'm not
property.
asking you,
Oh,
Mr. Roy, I'm asking the board,
excuse me.
because
Sorry.
they know the talk, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate you wanting to weigh in. I'll give you 1 minute in a second. Ann Fullerton,
Thank you, Chair Fontano. I think that what we have said is that the criteria being met for special condition 1 is the size of the frontage is smaller than is typical on that street.
Mhm.
because this is what we're gonna read into when we make our, size of the frontage is not in kind with the majority of the street, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Correct.
Anybody else want to weigh in on number 1 to add to it? No. Okay. I want to go back to Mr. Roy. I didn't mean to cut you off. What did you want to say, Mr. Roy?
She actually explained it perfectly. That was what I was going to say anyways, that the frontage of the property is only 36 feet, where the average house is 45 to 50 on the front. So that's what they explained to me, was that
Okay,
that part of the hardship.
great. Were you going to say it just like her?
Close.
I know.
She's
Thank
better
you.
spoken than I am.
Thank you. Me too. Me too. Okay, on number 1, we feel that's enough. Okay, and then number 2. Number 2 is literal enforcement of the provision of this ordinance for the district where the subject land or structure is located would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner or appellate due to said special circumstances. Now, Ann, you spoke to that. What do you want to say here?
So my first point was that it's already caused them substantial hardship in that because they travel for long periods of time annually, they have to pay for special provisions to park their car. So that is financial hardship. I think the other hardship we should be considering is that I'm guessing that because they've been long-term neighbors means they're probably aging. I in no way know exactly how old the owners are, but they've been there 20 plus years. So I think we have always, as a board, wanted to make aging in place a possibility. Now I'm making that reason up myself, but it is part of the consideration that I had after hearing that they had been there for a long duration of time.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to piggyback on that with comments? No? Okay. And then number 3, desirable relief could be granted without causing substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially degrading from the intent and purpose of the NR district in the ordinance or the ordinance in general. And I think Mr. Cook spoke to that. Do I have that right? Brian? And if anybody else, for Brian to say something, excuse me, Brian, if there's anybody else that wants to jump on number 3 in the positive, please raise your hand after Brian's finished. Mr. Cook.
Sorry, let me read it again to myself so I make sure I get this right.
Yes, sir.
Well, we don't find that it nullifies or substantially derogates the intent and purpose of the neighborhood residence district in the ordinance or the ordinance in general, and in fact is a positive good because it creates some relief for other residents with respect to parking.
All right, good. Okay, so I just want to say this for Mr. Roy. Because this is a prime example of coming to a meeting and letting everybody talk and everybody hash it out. Because then everybody understands it. That's why I didn't mean to cut you off, but the board, they're more expertise in being eloquent and explaining, and they know what they're up against here on the books, you know?
Yeah.
So I would like to check in with our staff person, Emily Hutchings, and ask what your opinion is of what we've had to say.
Madam Chair, I'm afraid I agree with the staff memo and the arguments that were made there, but I think you have made the arguments that are necessary for a decision, and that's what you are tasked with as the Zoning Board of Appeals.
That's what I was double checking with you. Thank you so much. Because I know the staff report was denied. And I know how you planners really look into the nitty gritty, you know, and other the rules and regulations and guidelines. So, but then I always feel that's why we have a zoning board of appeals for the public to come forward and to give us their case and let us hash it over and go with the flow. We either approve it or disapprove it, but at least it's another step to come forward and express yourself. And also for us to express ourselves and to understand what everybody else is thinking and enlighten us a little bit as well. So I guess we're ready to vote. Anybody have anything else to say? No. I would like to close the double check with Emily. Is there anybody there from the public that did not speak, Emily?
Madam Chair, through you, I would like to ask anyone from the public who would like to speak at this time to raise their hand. Madam Chair, I am not seeing any hands raised if you would like to close the public hearing.
I would. At this time, I will close the public hearing for 70, I'm getting all bobbled up here. 97 Orchard Street. Close that and open it to the board now for a motion. You're all ready to vote? Yes? Okay, so I'm gonna ask the clerk tonight to make a motion for the vote. Now, let me ask you something, Emily. Maybe you can help us out with this. During this motion is when we list the criteria.
Madam Chair, through you, I believe it's appropriate to say noting in our decision in the motion the criteria that we have addressed in the discussion. I move to
Right.
and then make the motion.
Sound good, Ann?
Sounds good.
Okay,
Madam
So-
Chair,
thank you.
in the case of 97 Orchard Street, case number ZP 24-000031, I make the motion to approve, noting the conditions discussed in the board's review of the case
And the criteria.
and the criteria.
Thank you. May I please have a second on the motion?
Seconded.
Seconded by Zach Zaremba. Go around for the vote. Zach Zaremba.
Aye.
Oh, God. Emily, I'm sorry, Cecia Daglian,
Aye.
Brian Cook,
Aye.
Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show that the approval for 97 Orchard Street was all 5 members voting in the affirmative. Good luck, Mr. Roy, And,
Thank you so much, all of you.
okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next on the agenda. Let's see here. I don't believe there's any other. One second, I want to check something here. I don't think there's any other business tonight on the agenda. Does anybody have any business they'd like to discuss or mention? No? Okay. So at this time, I'd like to thank everybody for their input. And I'd like to make a motion. See, I didn't forget tonight, did I? All right. Let me see what I have here. Get my little papers on my little cheat sheets. At this time, I'd like to make a motion, ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting until the next meeting is June 5th. And so I want to adjourn until then. And I'm going to ask for a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Zach and Cecia. As we go around, Ann Fullerton,
Aye.
thank you. Brian Cook,
Aye.
Zach Zarembia,
Aye.
Cecia,
I.
and Susan Fontano, aye. Let the record show, all 5 members voting the affirmative to adjourn. Thank you, everybody. And I keep pronouncing Zach's last name wrong. I give an extra syllable in there. I apologize. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy spring, huh?
Good night.
Good night.